Hello everyone, and welcome to my channel. I'd love it if you could leave a comment letting me know where you're listening from around the world. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe if you're enjoying this video. Story 1. I have been looking forward to this trip for months. A week alone in the Sierra Nevada, away from phones, people, and the noise of the city. I wanted nothing but the smell of pine, the rustle of leaves, and the quiet that comes when no one else is around. By late afternoon, I found a small clearing surrounded by towering pine trees. The ground was soft with needles, and a small brook whispered somewhere in the shadows. Perfect, I thought. Perfect. I set up my tent, laid out my sleeping bag, and sat for a while watching the sun dip below the peaks. The colors of the sky were hypnotic, orange melting into deep violet. I felt a strange kind of peace settle over me, a sense that nothing in the world could touch me here. That peace didn't last. It started as a faint sound, so soft, I almost didn't register it. At first, I thought it was the wind, high and thin, threading through the branches. But then I realized it was whistling, a soft, melodic tune that drifted around the clearing. It was deliberate, too perfect to be random. The notes seemed familiar, though I couldn't place the song. I froze. My chest tightened, and the hair on my arms stood up. I told myself it was nothing. The forest plays tricks. Wind echoes my own imagination. But the whistling didn't stop. It moved. First, it seemed distant, then closer, circling my tent in lazy, precise arcs. I grabbed my flashlight and swung it through the clearing, the beams slicing through the dark. Nothing, just the trunks of pine trees, tall and black, shadows stretching like fingers. Then came the footsteps. Slow, deliberate, crunching on the needles. My stomach dropped into my boots. Whoever, or whatever, was here was moving around my campsite, walking on the very ground I just inspected. My mind raced. Could it be another camper? No one else would be stupid enough to come this far alone in the middle of the night. The whistling stopped suddenly, right next to my tent. I could feel the air shift, the cold that comes when someone or something is watching. My breath came fast. I zipped the tent closed, pressed my back to the wall, and told myself to stay still. Minutes stretched into hours. Every snap of a branch, every rustle of pine needles made my heart jump into my throat. I couldn't sleep. When dawn came, I unzipped the tent slowly, expecting maybe to see footprints, a clue. And there they were, deep, bare footprints in the soft soil, forming a perfect circle around my tent. They didn't just lead past my camp. They circled it. The prints were enormous, too large for a human, and then vanished at the edge of the clearing. My supplies were untouched. Nothing had been moved. Nothing was stolen. Just those footprints and the memory of the whistling. I packed up quickly and left, my eyes darting to every shadow, every movement in the trees. I drove hours before I felt safe. But the whistling stayed. Not in the forest, not in the air around me, but in my mind. Every quiet night, every moment of silence, it creeps back. I hear it when I'm trying to sleep, faint and deliberate, circling me like it did in the clearing. I've gone back to the Sierra Nevada since then. I've camped in dozens of places, but never alone, never in the same way. And I still avoid that clearing. Sometimes, when the wind is right and the night is calm, I swear I can hear a faint whistle drifting across the mountains, soft and familiar, waiting. I don't know what it was. I don't want to know. But if you ever camp in the deep pines, keep your ears open. Listen carefully. If you hear a whistle that seems to circle around you, don't follow it. Don't look for it. And whatever you do, don't try to sleep, because it's already watching. Story 2. I thought I was just going on a simple camping trip. Crater Lake had been on my list for years. Its dark, glassy water, the silent trees surrounding it, the sheer emptiness that made you feel like the world had ended somewhere else. I arrived late afternoon, carrying my backpack, a small tent, and my fishing gear. The air was crisp, colder than I expected for July, but nothing that couldn't be handled with a hoodie and a campfire. By sunset, the lake was perfectly still, reflecting the sky in a way that made it hard to tell where water ended and horizon began. I set up my tent near the shore, a little off the trail. It was isolated, which I liked. No people, no noise, just me and the water. After getting my campsite ready, I decided to try a little night fishing. Something about standing at the edge of the lake under the moonlight had a pull I couldn't resist. I took my headlamp from my backpack, clicked it on, and aimed it at the water. That's when I saw it. My reflection, perfectly mirrored on the glassy surface. But it wasn't me. My face was calm, I thought, but the figure in the water smiled. Not a normal smile, but the kind that makes you feel your skin crawl. Its eyes glimmered, sharp and cold, with a light I didn't have. At first, I thought I was imagining things. Maybe the angle of the headlamp, maybe the way the moon hit the lake. I laughed nervously to myself and took a step back. The reflection moved too. Every step I took, it mirrored perfectly, but it did it in a slightly delayed, unnatural way. And that smile never faded. Panic settled into my chest like ice. I wanted to run, but my legs felt rooted. Then I tried to shake it off, thinking maybe if I waved, it would stop. I raised my hand slowly. My reflection did too. And then, impossibly, it waved, not like me. Its fingers moved gracefully, deliberately, like it was performing some twisted greeting. I bolted. Branches whipped against my arms, and rocks tore at my shoes as I ran back to my campsite. My heart was pounding in my ears. When I got there, my lantern was on the ground, smashed. I hadn't even set it down near the path. The fire I'd built was out, and there, at the edge of the lake, my reflection stood perfectly still, watching. I didn't sleep. I couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw it. That impossible smile. Those glowing eyes. I tried to convince myself it was just stress, the isolation playing tricks. I told myself reflections can't move on their own. But I didn't sleep. I stayed in my tent, listening to the soft lapping of the water, feeling the weight of that gaze from just beyond the edge of the fabric. When dawn finally came, I packed up as fast as I could. I kept my eyes glued to the water, half expecting it to be gone, to be a normal reflection again. But it wasn't gone. For a long, impossible moment, I swore I saw it wave goodbye. Not a simple wave, but a slow, deliberate gesture. Then it sank beneath the surface, leaving nothing but my own reflection staring back at me. Or at least, the one that was actually me. I drove away without looking back. But I can't shake the feeling that whatever I saw in that lake wasn't a reflection at all. It knew me. It copied me. And maybe, just maybe, it's still there, waiting for the next time I forget to watch myself carefully in the dark. Even now, I avoid lakes at night. I avoid mirrors when a room is quiet. I can't explain what it was, only that I know I wasn't alone. Not really. And I know, in some deep, hollow part of me, that it's still smiling. Story 3. I thought I knew the Adirondacks. Spent summers hiking and camping there since I was a kid. I liked the solitude, the way the forest could swallow a person whole if they weren't careful. But that night, I realized how little I actually knew. I had hiked all day, my pack heavy with gear, the trail twisting through thick pines and moss-covered rocks. By late afternoon, I found a clearing beside a small creek. Perfect spot. No one around for miles. I set up my tent quickly, my hands trembling more from exhaustion than anything else. By the time I crawled in, night had fallen. The forest went silent except for the gentle rush of water. I zipped up the tent, lying on my sleeping pad, too tired to think. My eyelids fell, and I was out almost instantly. At first, I thought it was a dream. A bad dream. Around midnight, I woke to a sound, a subtle creak, like the slow, deliberate bend of a floorboard beneath someone kneeling. My first thought was the wind brushing against the canvas. But then I felt it, a soft rising and falling under me, under my body. My stomach tightened. The floor of my tent was moving, breathing. I froze. Impossible. I whispered to myself. It's the wind. But it wasn't the wind. It was too deliberate, too rhythmic. I reached for my flashlight, fumbling against the tangled mess of my pack and sleeping bag. When I finally clicked it on, the beam sliced across the tent walls, and I swear the walls were bulging, inflating and deflating like lungs. My pulse slammed against my ribs. I tried to reason it out. Maybe I'd set up the tent on uneven ground. Maybe it was just the air mattress shifting. But then the walls pressed closer to me, ever so slightly, as if curious, as if testing. I could feel the canvas brushing against my arms. Alive, watching, waiting. I screamed, and the sound was swallowed by the trees. I ripped open the tent zipper, the cold night air slapping me in the face. My bare feet hit the damp forest floor, mud squelching between my toes. I ran. Branches tore my clothes. Roots threatened to trip me, but I didn't stop. Not even when I fell twice, scraping my knees and hands raw. I glanced back once. The tent had collapsed, flat against the earth like nothing had happened. The creek gurgled quietly. The forest was still, too still, but I could feel it. Something lingered there, a presence, waiting for me to return. I didn't stop until I hit the main trail hours later. My lungs burned, my legs shook, but I kept running. I didn't look back. Not until the morning, when the sun had finally started to lift the shadows, did I stop. And even then, I felt it, an oppressive, empty weight in the clearing. I never went back to that spot. I've camped in the Adirondacks hundreds of times since, but that night changed the way I see the forest. Trees aren't just trees. Rocks aren't just rocks. Even a tent, something I trusted to protect me, can turn against you, can watch, can breathe. I tell people this story now, and they laugh. It was probably an animal, they say, a raccoon or a bear. But I know what I felt. I felt it press against me from all sides. I felt it inhale and exhale through the thin fabric, alive in a way no human or animal ever could be. Sometimes when I close my eyes at night, I can still feel it there, waiting, not moving, not breathing, just waiting. And I know if I ever return to that spot, it will be ready. I can't explain what it was. Maybe it was something ancient, something the forest keeps hidden from campers like me. But I do know one thing. I'll never, ever treat a tent the same way again. Because some nights, when the wind shifts just right and the air smells like wet earth and ozone, I swear I can feel it again. The tent, breathing, alive, watching. And I remember how small I really was.